such a hard removal.
Yeah, the green-red monsters mirror is so much about who can ever get the largest threat to stick, that having some copies of Ultimate Price or Dreadport or Doomblade or what have you is a really valuable way to break serve. So we're here in the third game here. You see Caleb playing red-white burn on your left. He has a board of some red-white dual lands, Chain of the Rocks on his mountain, and a Boros Reckoner in play. And Alawar, a fairly comfortable 15 life.
Yeah, this Stormbreath Dragon is actually kind of a big problem. I mean, if Caleb doesn't put together two different burn spells, he actually has a surprising number of burn spells in his deck that can't deal with the dragon. Boros Charm, War Leader's Helix, Skullcrack, and like at best he can assemble like maybe a Searing Blood and a Lightning Strike, or a Magma Jet and a Shock.
Yeah, he has no copies of Mizium Mortars in his 75. He does have 2 copies of Faded Conflagration, so he might have brought that in. It's also a good answer to Palachronos, so that could be in his 75, right, or in his 60 rather right now, but no Mizium Mortars in his list, which is the most common card this deck has access to try to beat cards like Stormbreath Dragon.
Oh wow, Boon Satyr could be particularly devastating, as Caleb is going to be relying very heavily on just putting together 4 or 5 damage to deal with the dragon.
But don't underestimate the range that this red-white burn strategy has. I played it a lot on Magic Online the last couple of months, and even though, you know, Red's ahead on life, he's clearly got a more advanced board, a lot of powerful tools in hand. He might not get to untap next turn if he simply plays another Stormbreath Dragon and attacks, or puts Boon Satyr on his Stormbreath Dragon and attacks. He might not get to next turn.
Yeah, and honestly, as much as I would be surprised for you rooting for the burn deck, the the real question we're going to see, that we're going to come into, is, will Raid play the ultra defensive, I gotta just take no more damage? Oh, yeah. He does not. It looks like he's going to just go for it. I think this is exactly like you said. This is the spot that Caleb looks for. Give himself chances to burn him out.
All right, so that's going to knock Caleb down to 2, it looks like, but the defenses are down, so we'll see if Caleb has 9 points of burn in hand to go along with his Boros Reckoner.
Yeah, I mean, Raid could have left that Sylvan Caryatid back as a for sure gain 3 by blocking the Boros Reckoner.
Yeah. I think he was trying to go through the permutations if there was a way for him to advance his board and leave the Caryatid back on defense, but it didn't look like he found anything. He had Boon Satyr and Stormbreath Dragon in his hand. Both of these are theoretically 5-mana plays, although I suppose it's possible he could have simply cast Boon Satyr and said go. But now we'll see if Caleb can finish it off.
I mean, he even had the just pass the turn and cast Boon Satyr at instant speed after the Sylvan Caryatid has blocked.
Yep. And we see War Leader's Helix. End of turn. That's going to take Rhea down to 8. And now it doesn't require very much at all for Caleb to finish this one off.
No, you're exactly right. And this is literally a straight up burn deck. You have to respect the range.
Yeah. Chandra's Phoenix the draw for Caleb.
So that's 5 showing. Does he have a Lightning Strike?
Yeah, now Lightning Strike or Skullcracker both.
Oh wow, it looks like he has a War Leader's Helix, but he's a mana short of doing both.
Wow.
That's interesting though, because the War Leader's Helix can knock Raid to 1, but also gains enough life that Caleb can live through the turn, except the Boon Satyr is threatening to mess that up.
Yeah. There's not a lot of 3 spell hands that Caleb can have here that do not kill Raid, but it looks like he might have one of them.
Now, what's also interesting is that Chandra's Phoenix could potentially be a blocker.
Yeah. But Caleb, you know, if I'm in his seat right now, I'm saying I had to try to figure out some way to finish this game. Letting Red untap with all that mana, hoping that my Chandra's Phoenix on defense somehow gets to block, and that's good enough is asking a lot.
How can he beat the Boon Satyr?
Well, based on what's in play, if he can't actually kill Red this turn, his best bet is to just War Leader's Helix, because on board, Red can't beat that. The Boon Satyr is going to throw this for a loop, obviously. And he just says go.
Doesn't even attack with the Boros Reckoner. It's interesting. So he's holding off the Mutavault with the Boros Reckoner.
So Red coming across with a lethal attack here.
Which is good. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, the Mutavault is threatening lethal even with the War Leader's Helix.
So Caleb plays another War Leader's Helix here, which knocks Ray down to 4 and Caleb up to 10.
So I actually think it may have worked out much better if he had attacked with the Reckoner so that you War Leader's Helix the Mutavault. Like maybe in some world, Raid attacks with the Mutavault, gets greedy, and then doesn't have the mana to Boon Satyr anymore.
So Ray with the Boon Satyr, and that gives him enough to play over the top of the War Leader's Helix, and he takes the match 2-1 over Red-White Burn.
Wow, that one is very, very, very close. The Red-White deck capable of so much reach.
Yeah, I was playing this deck a fair bit, like I said, pre-Born of the Gods. I was not really thrilled with either Devotion matchup, and counter spells were also really hard to beat. So when the metagame is when the metagame is 2 Devotion decks and a counter spell deck, it's not at its best there. I still, I won a healthy percentage of my matches, but I didn't feel like I was doing anything close to the objectively best thing in the format.